For the past 200 years, one of the most classic tales ever told has been Frankenstein. With countless retellings of this story, there are countless versions of people with the last name Frankenstein. Every Frankenstein is unique in some way or another, but out of all of these versions, who is the best at being Frankenstein? I decided to rank 8 Frankensteins and grade them out of 5 categories. Number 1, scientific. This is depending on how scientific they actually are, how much of an actual scientist they are. Number 2, creation process. The original novel doesn't really have a creation scene, so this is based on how the process goes, if it's sloppy, if there's a mistake, etc. Number 3, actual creation. How's life like as the creature? Can it be deemed a monster? How does it act? Things like that. Number 4, how did they handle things? Pretty self-explanatory. This is how the Frankenstein handles what is happening to them, mainly with the creation. Each section will be graded out of 10 points with a max score of 50. Whichever gets the highest wins the title of Best at Being Frankenstein. There are a few rules of who will be counted on this. Number 1, Frankenstein must be the title character. Media like Van Helsing, Phineas and Ferb, Monster High don't count in this ruling because Frankenstein isn't the title character. Number 2, you must have made your own creature. Wolf von Frankenstein and Ludwig von Frankenstein are excluded in this, considering that they did not make a creature. Number 3, your life has to be really bad around the time or after the creation process. And number 4, the character must have been made with Victor Frankenstein in mind. This has resulted in me narrowing it down to 8 people. All these characters will be ranked unbiased, so don't come after me. Now that we have that out of the way, we'll start things out with Old Reliable, Victor Frankenstein from Mary Shelley's original work. Victor is a scientist still in college who decided that it's more important to figure out what makes life. He makes the creation out of organs from graves and animal remains. His creation works too well and developed basically into a full human Victor had no control over. But it was a success, so he has that. Victor handled things by going back home and making a deal with the creature. He then failed the deal and died in the Arctic. Pretty tragic. With that, I think it's fair to say that Victor Frankenstein from the original novel gets an 8 in scientific, a 7 in creation process, a 9 in his creation, and he handled things poorly, so I'm giving him a 4. Now the final category is essentials. He doesn't have a creation scene, but he does have a wedding night and attend a fiery destruction. I feel bad, but the original Frankenstein scores an 8 in essentials. This gives Victor a final score of 36, so not that bad, and could have gone way higher if he didn't handle things so damn poorly. Be a better father.
It's alive! Oh, it's alive! It's alive! It's alive! It's alive! Oh, in the name of God! Now I know what it feels like to be God!
Henry Frankenstein, from the 1931 film and Bride of Frankenstein. Henry Frankenstein's past isn't brought up much in the 2 films, but we can use evidence in conversations and mannerisms to establish it. Henry is a science student who dropped out in order to pursue the creation of life. He made his creation with people in the room, but still ended up pretty successful in it. Henry did leave the creation behind, but in his defense, he thought someone was going to kill the creature, so we can't really blame him on that one. He did handle things pretty well for what was given to him. He went off to pursue the creature, even trying to fight him, and he did survive this. He went on to make The Bride, whose film and Henry's part in the creation is pretty similar to Victor's, having to create her due to someone endangering his family. Henry did get trapped in a burning windmill, and almost got exploded, which are fiery destructions if I've ever seen them. Henry's leaving the ranking with a 6 in science, an 8 in creation process, but a 6 in creation, a 7 in handling of things, and a 6 in total history. Henry scores a 33, which is pretty decent considering the only other person on the ranking is the original. But there are plenty of more Frankensteins to see. Maybe his great-great-granddaughter will beat him.
Abby Normal.
I'm almost sure that was the name.
Are you saying that I put an abnormal brain into a 7.5-foot long, 54-inch wide gorilla?
Young Frankenstein was an interesting watch, and by was, I mean I finished it like 2 seconds before recording this. The film follows Frederick Frankenstein as he traveled back to his old family castle in Transylvania to collect the estate from the Frankensteins, as his grandfather was Victor Frankenstein. In the castle, he located the secrets of life in a book titled How I Did It by Victor Frankenstein, and proceeded to make his own monster by digging up one body and putting a brain into it and calling it a day. He realized that all the creature needed was love to be understood, so he gave it that, took him on the road, did a little ditty, you know how it is. At the very end, he basically decides to put part of his consciousness into the creature to make the creature a smarter person, which I do think is a kind endeavor, but also not exactly a moment of tragedy for him. Anyway, he is a doctor, and he is actually a teacher, which results in him getting an 8 in scientific, a 4 in creation process, a 6 in actual creation, a 7 in handling of things, and a 5 in total history. This results in him getting a final score of 30 points, which isn't the worst, but it isn't the best that anyone can do. It actually pleasantly surprised me.
Your dog is alive!
That's impossible.
I know it is so impossible, but you did it!
Frankenweenies, a story from 2012 from the horrific mind of Tim Burton. Story follows Victor as a social outcast. Literally, he just doesn't have friends. His only friend is his dog, Sparky. His dog was hit by a car, resulting in him finding the secret of life and bringing the dog back in his attic. It was pretty successful, and the dog did come back to life and remembered everything. He just needs a few jolts of electricity every now and then to keep him up and going. He did deeply care for Sparky, more than anyone on this list. Sparky did save his life. There is no wedding scene, but there's a tragic moment of people using the formula to create their own monsters terrorizing the town. And he also got stuck in a burning windmill. All these on account, Victor Frankenweenie, that's not his name, scored a 4 in scientific, 3 in creation process, a 9 in creation, and a 7 in handling of things, and a 2 in total history. Victor scored an alright 25. Pretty good for being the only person under 12 years old, but also he's not the lowest on the list. In 2018, Junji Ito adapted Frankenstein, adding his beautiful artwork to this tale. He changed a few parts in it, but the story remains relatively the same. Victor is a scientist, drops out of college, decided to find out what makes life. He made his creations from organ-like graves and animal remains. His creation worked too well, developed basically full human Victor had no control over, handled things by going back home and made a deal with the creature, died in the Arctic, pretty standard and pretty good for an adaptation. I too would be scared of this thing. In short, Junji Ito's Frankenstein ends with a 6 in scientific, 7 in creation process, a 9 in creation, a 6 in handling of things, and an 8 in total history. Same as the original book, but still pretty good considering everything. Lisa Frankenstein was the only character on this list that I watched the film and then thought to myself, maybe they shouldn't go on this list. Lisa Swallows is an outcast high schooler whose mother was brutally murdered a few years prior. She got drugged and fell in love with a grave, and the grave was struck by lightning, bringing the guy in the grave to life. She murdered people, stitched their limbs on him to fix him, basically to fall in love with him. This was pretty weird of an adaptation, all things considered, considering that there is no wedding scene, or fiery destruction, or creation scene. I mean, this is the creation scene. All in all, I gave Lisa a 2 in scientific, a 0 in creation process, a 5 in actual creation, a 4 in handling of things, and a 3 in total history, which gives her 14, the lowest on this list. If you want to fight me and say that Lisa doesn't belong on this list, I'd probably agree with you, but also I watched the movie and just wanted an excuse to put her on the list. And she's the title character, and in the title has the last name Frankenstein, so she technically counts?
Excellent. I am Dr. Victoria Frankenstein. Today, you chosen few will witness my greatest discovery yet.
Victoria Frankenstein. We don't know any information about her creation process, but we do know about her. Victoria is the great-great-granddaughter of Henry Frankenstein, who we covered later. She was also the lead scientist in charge of the Dracula experiment. What we do know about her creature and the creation process was that he was made 3 years before Monsters Unchained. So assuming that Unchained takes place in 2025, he would have been made somewhere around 2022. They picked up organs for him around Darkmoor and actually treated him right and raised him. It's hard to figure out a lot of information about her considering the 2 main sources look like this. We can judge her scientific knowledge based on the Q. Where the other Frankensteins failed, she succeeded. Her expertise appears to be in everything, resulting in complex machinery laying around the manor. And a pretty damn successful creation. Monsters Unchained also gave us an idea of her moment of tragedy, leaving her story without a wedding, but she still scores pretty high. She handles Unchained extremely well, fighting, even winning, and getting the guests out of there. I decided Victoria goes best with a 9 in scientific, an 8 in creation process, an 8 in her creation, a 9 in handling of things, and a 6 in total history. Victoria ends with a whopping 40 points, landing her currently on top, but we still have one more Frankenstein.
My maker told his tale. And I will tell you mine.
Victor Frankenstein, from Guillermo del Toro's 2025 adaptation. Truly this man's life work. Victor in this film is different, but also the same as some of the other Victors and Henrys on this list. He didn't drop out of college, but instead got kicked out, and instead of having a best friend, or any friends really, he had business partners, and was really obsessed with his research. There is a creation scene, and it goes pretty well, all things considered, with what he managed to do. And his creation is actually extremely impressive. With him being one of the only people on this list managing to make his creature actually talk, think like a normal person, and then some. Without spoiling the movie, he did technically go to a wedding, and he has a fiery destruction if I've ever seen one. This results in him getting an 8 in scientific, an 8 in creation process, a 9 in actual creation, a 4 in handling of things, a 9 in total history, resulting in 38 points, leading Victoria Frankenstein to reign supreme.
The world will never see the name Frankenstein the same again!
Despite Victoria winning, that doesn't mean she's the best adaptation of Frankenstein, considering she is Universal's own creation. But she did manage to beat out everyone else. Feel free to debate me and pitch your own Frankenstein for all I care. I'd actually love to revisit this and even go through people who don't have the last name Frankenstein but still went through a similar story. Or even doing a part 2 to this. There are hundreds of Frankenstein adaptations, but also it's really hard to find ones that aren't bad. Anyway, that's it. Thank you for watching, and happy Halloween!